Hey, how you doing? Thanks for downloading the show. Welcome to Gardenfork Radio. I am your host, Eric. This is an eclectic DIY show. It's me and my friends talking about what we hope you will find interesting. Today we're joined by a special guest, the camera operator.
Special guest?
Well, you're kind of behind the scenes and...
literally behind the scenes.
I think you've been on the podcast maybe twice or three times. You've been on the Patreon after show with the Ask Me Anything episode that people really liked.
Oh.
And it's Sunday, and we are in Brooklyn, and my original show for this week didn't happen, basically. And like I said, the camera operator, would you be on the podcast? And she said yes.
So here I am.
We're going to talk about two different things today, brought up by friends of ours, actually. Should you own one dog or two? Or have, I don't know if own's the right word. And then the benefits of actually hiring other people to do stuff that you think you can do.
Uh-huh.
So we were in the park. There, we live in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, and there is a large park with the rule with dogs there is before 9 a.m. they can be off leash anywhere in the park. But there is a large grassy area
muddy area
on the weekends becomes a soccer field, a kind of an impromptu soccer field. But in the mornings is kind of where the dog people congregate. And one of our friends has one dog named Cody, who's like a black lab mix with a shepherd.
A fun dog.
Very fun. And she was thinking about getting a second dog, and we were talking about why she should. So that kind of answers the question right there. But what are the benefits of having two dogs instead of one?
Having two dogs or welcoming two dogs into your family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we used to have one dog once upon a time.
Right.
And I think for that particular one dog, he was a beagle. Like, this way predates Gardenfork. And he, I think, was an only dog and probably would have preferred being an only dog as he was. But I think with the labs are super friendly. They're like party dogs. They like their own little pack. So I like having two, and then they can play together. They can keep each other company when we're out. They can
they're much more independent.
They can pick their own toys. They can pick toys to share.
There's a lower level of anxiety, I think, with two dogs.
I think that's true too. But you definitely have to be fair when you're like the treat dispenser, when you're being the human treat dispenser. Dogs know fairness, so if you can't just give one a treat and not the other one. Like, you have to be even. And we've always been even with sort of both sets of dogs, with Henry and Charlie, and now with Spike and Andy. So they don't get anxious if like one gets something, because they just know they're next.
Yeah. And when we leave them alone, there's much less of the separation anxiety. Except we have noticed that Spiker will find some paper to chew on or something.
And by paper, he means toilet paper.
Well, she almost ate a check that was on
that's true.
the little cabinet over there, because we saw she had pulled something off which is unusual, because when we're around, they don't go on they don't jump on the tables.
They're well behaved.
But when we're gone, Spiker, it might be a little bit of separation anxiety where she just wants to chomp on something.
How do you know it's Spiker?
Andy just wouldn't do it. Andy is wicked smart.
So if you have two, you can always wonder who's getting in trouble and who's not.
Unless you have like your
camera.
Your indoor camera.
We don't.
No, we don't have any cameras. We have a security camera outside, and there's a specific brand, by the way, security camera, which does not. You can opt to use the cloud or not, and we have opted not to use the cloud on it. And I will link to that in the show notes. It's an Amazon link. It's an affiliate link. If you would consider using our affiliate links to shop, that helps pay the bills here at Gardenfork Central, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Woo-wee, it's paying the bills.
Well, podcasting is not, if you're thinking of a profitable business, this is not the thing to go to.
I hope you're passionate about it.
So are there any drawbacks to having two dogs?
Yeah. If you are the one person walking the two dogs in the morning, you cannot drink your coffee at the same time. That's a drawback.
Yeah. The other thing is the logistics of getting them to the vet can be, if you're in an urban area like we are, getting them to the vet might mean using the car and then 2 cars and a dog and parking. Parking is just a problem anyway, I thought of. The other thing I thought was if you want to go on vacation, you're going to look for someone to watch your dogs. Like maybe you could text one of your family members, say, hey, would you watch just Andy? If we only had one dog, could you watch our dog while we go away for a week? But asking someone to watch 2 dogs
feels exponentially more, right? Like that's not quite right, but like a bigger ask.
It is a bigger ask. The irony is our best friends who live across the street,
best friends,
who were we were over there for dinner, and they said bring over your dogs because they like them. But we had to go visit some family, and they said we want to take care of your dogs, and they came over. We had to clean the house because they spent 4 days at our house. It makes you clean your house anyway, but they were so excited to be with the dogs, and we're like, oh, we're going to do this with them and that with them. And they were like, you don't have to do this. We can pay someone. Oh, no, we want to do this. And they really loved it.
Yeah, no, that was good. And then same thing, like when they leave for a couple hours, nobody feels guilty because the puppies have each other.
Yeah. They do start to play about 6 a.m.
And make a lot of noise. They make like baby noises, like puppy noises.
What is weird is I've seen some people who, when their single dog interacts with the dogs, they think immediately that they're fighting. And it's like, no, they're just playing.
Oh, well, there's a fine line. Some people know when their dogs are fighting. But yeah, there's sometimes that play looks really rough. It looks aggressive and assertive, and it's really play. But you got to know your dog.
Yeah. So by extension of that, if you find a dog run in a park nearby, you should go.
Yeah, be careful, right? Like don't just go to the dog run and just let them off the leash. Like there's a little acclimation process.
Right, but you can suss it out. If you start when they're puppies, because you're getting 2 dogs, it works.
Because you're getting 2 dogs. But what about the Littermate syndrome?
Right. So this was our dilemma. Our previous set of Labradors, Henry and Charlie, we had Henry for a year, and then we got Charlie pup. So Henry was, believe it or not, the alpha, despite being a super weirdo.
We had her for 2 years actually before we got Charlie pup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then we suddenly lost Charlie pup, and we lost Henry not too far after that. And 2 of our neighbors were going to have litters upstate at the little house. It was so nice because they both texted us and said, hey, it might be a little too early for this, but we're both having litters if you're interested. It was very, very nice of them to reach out to us because they could find homes for all their puppies within minutes.
Really easily, yeah.
And we decided to get a puppy from each litter rather than just from one litter because of this thing called Littermate syndrome. And so what did you find out about? What is that?
I think Littermate syndrome is where the 2 puppies come from the same litter, and so they are very bonded to one another rather than they're people. And there can actually be an aggression thing there as they're trying to sort out who's the alpha, which can last their lifetime. So 2 things, like one is they might have a tendency to be oblivious of their people, and 2, it could turn into an aggression thing, and nobody wants that. So. Although I say that, with caution, because we also know people who do have 2 puppies from the same litter and they're just fine. So like everything, it just depends on the individual.
Yeah, I actually see a certain independence in Spike and Andy that I did not see in Henry and Charlie.
Okay.
They play alone a lot.
They play cards by themselves.
Also, some of that might be we do not feed them people food. And we would feed Henry and Charlie people food. So whenever I was in the kitchen, they're drooling on the floor going, what, are we going to get a snack? And when I'm in the kitchen most of the time, these 2 are not triggered to automatically come over and stare at me. So I don't know if that's a dependence thing or just like, oh, there's there's food here, we're going to get fed.
Dependent on you or dependent on each other?
Dependent on me for food.
Okay.
I mean, they do know that I'll feed them in the morning and at night, but they aren't coming to me every 5 minutes if I'm in the kitchen.
True.
Thinking I'm going to throw food at them.
No. Although, with smells, Spiker is still curious, and she'll stick her head around the corner and say, "Hey, what you doing?"
Right, and I immediately tell her to go away. And then they're very content in the yard by themselves. They seem to gravitate to. They'll lie down next to each other.
Yeah, they lean on each other a lot, or lie down on top of each other.
And we'll leave. You can just. We have an invisible fence in the yard, and we're getting to the point now where we can leave them in the yard, and they just stay there.
Yeah, we're still home, but we are inside and they are outside, and that's fine.
Right, but with our previous pups, we could literally get in the car and drive away.
We could.
And I think we're to that point now with Andy and Spike. So, maybe not. I'm getting a hint here.
I'm shaking my head. It will sound like I'm paranoid, but there's definitely been reports of an uptick of stolen dogs.
Oh,
which would be
I didn't think about
horrible.
that. Yes, that would be bad. So, all right, so we won't be doing that.
Thank you.
Hey, real quick here, just a reminder, if you're shopping on Amazon, would you consider using the Gardenfork link to Amazon? It links to our storefront there. There are several subsections when you go to that page. I think the most popular one is the tools I use. It's listing my most favorite cordless drill driver kit. There's just some aha moment tools that I've put on there. I recently learned about a new kind of a better, higher quality brand of electrical wire strippers that I didn't know existed. And I've kind of beat up mine and I got these and I'm like, oh, these are much nicer. Anyway, there's a link in the show notes to do that, or it's amazon.com/shop/gardenfork. Amazon.com/shop/gardenfork. That really helps us pay the bills. It's kind of a big thing. So think about that. All right? Thank you. So the other topic was hiring people to work on your house.
I don't know how to hire people. You hire people. When I mentioned that we might need to hire someone.
Right. Well, I have experience in that, but it was more about you. You told me that you were basically. We have a cedar clapboard house that's white. When we bought the house, it took me several years, but I removed all the existing paint. I repaired or replaced all the clapboard, and then I painted it.
It's a ton of work
with bulletproof paint. It's an alkyd. If you're wondering, it's an alkyd primer and then 2 or 3 coats of a heavy-duty latex, high quality. Do not cheap out on your paint. And it's lasted a really long time, but over the years, we've had a buildup of just dirt. White houses show dirt. And it's like a green mold,
like a little moss, right?
Green moss.
It looks a little mossy and streaky. And
the camera operator asked me, could we clean the house? I'm like, yeah, I'll pressure wash it. And then this is during COVID, and I kept on thinking, I'm going to do it. And then I finally realized that we have one side of the house that's very tall because it's on a hill and there's an exposed basement. So it's essentially 1, 2, 3, 3.5 stories tall on the tall side.
Right.
And I tried to use a pressure washer and extension ladder once, and it was not fun. You can blow yourself off the ladder with the thing. It's like holding a jetpack thing. It's like...
Yeah, don't do that.
Sorry, I didn't turn off my phone. So anyway, I literally texted a guy who has done work for us, and I said, "Can you pressure wash the house?" And
he said yes.
He said yes.
Oh my gosh, he said yes.
And then he didn't do it for a while, but he did text me back and said, "Hey, we've been a little busy." I said, "If you can do it, I would love it. If not, I'll go find someone." He goes, "No, I'll get to it." And so things, at least in the country, move much slower than they do in the city. And so I'm used to that now. And he did do it, and it looks fabulous.
Oh, yeah, it looks so much better. I was so excited.
And it was a reasonable price.
It's a reasonable price, and sometimes you just got to hire somebody because all the things that you can do doesn't mean you should do them, because suddenly you have like you got to prioritize, and if there's too much, it might make somebody's head explode.
Who would that be?
I don't know. Someone will have to admit that. Done is better than perfect, but undone isn't perfect at all.
Right, and there was one thing off my plate which I really liked.
Yes. Although you like a full plate.
Well, there's always stuff to do.
There's always something.
Well, like we were literally in the with the dogs in the play area in the morning, and one of the guys there, whose dog is Hugo, he says, "What do you do when you go up to your little house in the weekend?" I said, "I just fix it."
Right. Yeah. Right. You visit it and fix it.
I mean, I guess other people pay people to do it, but I to a point I like it. But the other point is like I can't stand the idea of paying someone. I'm getting better at this, but the idea of paying someone to do something that I know how to do.
Right, but just because you're paying them doesn't mean you don't know how to do it. It just means you need some more time for yourself. And if you can pay for it, not everybody can, totally get that. But if you can pay for it, I think sometimes it's just worth it for your own peace of mind and just checking it off.
Checking off my list.
What do you think? Then it's checked off my list too.
Oh, I didn't think of it that way.
Okay. The things you learn in a podcast.
Yeah. So coming up, we have some new videos. We just did. We did the raised bed video. We did a garden. The garden tour video is out right now.
Yep.
And this week, the garden soil test video will be out.
Yeah, brace yourself.
And then we built some raised beds.
It's also unseasonably cold right now, so progress is slow in that department too.
Yeah, but we're getting things done.
Yeah.
Slow but sure. Right now, I'm doing some plumbing in our row house, and I opened up the floor and found 3 joists had been notched or cut to get piping around them, and I'm replacing the pipe.
Did you think he was going to say raccoon? Nope.
We thought we heard a raccoon in the apartment the other day, and because they're row houses, there's a common wall. There's just it's a double brick wall between each house.
They're brownstones.
And our neighbors, much like us, have a three-story building, and their tenants were coming home really late at night, and it sounded just like a raccoon running around. Like they were just walking up the stairs.
Yeah, it was just something we hadn't heard before.
All right, so cool. So always, we love to hear from you. It's radio@gardenfork.tv. If you're interested in becoming a supporter of the show, we do a after show for every podcast, and the camera operator and I are going to be doing that now. And we're going to touch on things you didn't know about Eric.
Oh, we are? This is news to me.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, spontaneity. That's what's all about
I'm
Gardenfork.
going to put the list together. It'll be pretty quick.
So if you want to support the show, that would be great. I'm asking a cup of coffee a month, kind of like the PBS model. I post 1 to 5 things a week, pictures of the dogs or what I've been up to or TV shows I think you should watch, stuff like that. Right?
You do.
Yes. All right. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Go out and do cool stuff and make it a great day. We'll see you. Gardenfork Radio is produced by Gardenfork Media LLC in Brooklyn, New York. Our producer is Sean O'Neill. If you need an amazing podcast producer, visit Sean's site, SeanInBrooklyn.com. That's Sean, SEAN, in Brooklyn.com. Our executive producer is Jimmy Goose. For more information about Jimmy and the custom hollow books he makes, visit hollowbooks.com. The music in the show is licensed from audioblocks.com and uniquetracks.com.